So, for our devotional today, I'm asking the question, what do Reformed people think about prophecy? And by prophecy, I mean stuff like prophetic words and words of knowledge. What do they think about it? And I think it's fair to say that most people think that it's okay in the Old Testament. Old Testament prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, that's okay. But in the New Testament, the question is, do we have prophets today? They also think Reformed people see all prophecy as nonsense. And as a result, Reformed people are ignoring the Bible. Now, why do I say that? Here is 1 Corinthians 14, which says, pursue love, eagerly desire the spiritual gifts, especially prophecy. Prophecy, there you go. The Bible says it, but Reformed people ignore the Bible. In response, I like to look at this verse. It's Ephesians 2:20. The church is built on two foundations, apostles and prophets. That is what builds up the church. What leads it, strengthens it are apostles, but also these prophets. Also, Ephesians chapter 4, Christ gave apostles and prophets. Ephesians 3:5, the gospel has been revealed through apostles and prophets. And hopefully you notice a pattern. Apostles, that's one, but also prophets, that's two. And by that, what it's not saying is that in the New Testament we have apostles, but in the Old Testament we have prophets. That's not what it's saying, and no responsible Bible scholar would say that. But it's actually talking about New Testament apostles and New Testament prophets. Why is this important? Because Reformed people believed this. They actually believe in the existence of New Testament, bona fide, thus saith the Lord prophets in the New Testament church. After Jesus, not talking about Isaiah and Jeremiah, but that these prophets helped to build the church. So the question is, why don't they believe in prophecy? Because for them, the apostles and the prophets go together. And in the same way that you don't have apostles today, so they would say you don't have prophets today either. Because, again, their primary function was to help bring together the New Testament witness in the Bible to build the church. And the way that Wayne Grudem, this scholar who is charismatic and he believes in prophecy, the way that Wayne Grudem would put it is that there's prophecy with a big P and prophecy with a small p. Prophecy with a big P is Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah. But also, you could include people like Luke, like Matthew, and Mark. These people who prophetically wrote the Gospels. That's prophecy with a big P. But then there's this other type of prophecy, which is with a small p. It's not authoritative, but it is still from God, and it's spoken to one another, and it needs discernment. And so to sum it up, what Reformed people believe is that prophecy built up the church, and prophecy became the basis of the New Testament. But finally, once the New Testament was written, prophecy faded away. And together with prophecy, also tongues, because you need prophecy to interpret tongues. So what do we get from all this? Well, two things. Number one, Reformed people actually do believe in prophecy in the New Testament. They elevate prophecy in the New Testament. But number two, when the New Testament was written, they believe the practice of prophecy today, faded out, or it actually undermines the authority of the Bible today. And I think if we understand where that's coming from, we would want to ask questions that gets at the heart with their problem with prophecy today. And not just ask questions that deal with our problem with them for not believing in prophecy today. And by them, I mean me also lah. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.